Agreed, we'll give it a go. I call this meeting of the May meeting of the Williamson County Board of Commissioners to order. I have an announcement I have to make to start with. This meeting is being held in pursuant of Executive Order 16 issued by the Governor of the State of Tennessee. It is being held electronically due to the need to protect health, safety, and well-being of the citizenry, and without objection will proceed in this manner. As such, all members of the committee must be able to hear the chairman and each other. If you cannot hear other members, please notify the chairman or Diane immediately. All votes must be done by roll call, and when you speak on a matter, please identify yourself. This meeting is available to the public on Public Access TV and is streaming live on YouTube. All right. To start with, we will have our invocation by Commissioner Ricky Jones and our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Barb Sturgeon.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for the ability to meet and gather and continue our county business. At this time, dear Lord, we ask that you be with all those that are sick and may be infected, and be with the doctors and nurses and all the first responders and everyone that is taking part in this crisis. We also ask you to be with all the workers and business leaders that are struggling during these times. And we ask you as county commissioners that we go about our business tonight. May we do what's best for this county. And we ask these prayers in Jesus' name. Amen.
Commissioner Sturgeon.
We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, I want to be sure to ask all the commissioners to make sure that your mics are muted and only unmute when your name is called, either by myself or by the clerk. At this time, Jeff, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aiello. Commissioner Alsbrooks. Commissioner Bill.
Present.
Commissioner Bethard.
Present.
Commissioner Chalfont.
Present.
Commissioner Herbert.
Present.
Commissioner Hester.
Present.
Commissioner Hudson. Commissioner Dwight Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Ricky Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Landrum. I see him. He's trying to unmute. Thank you.
Here.
Okay. Commissioner Lawrence. Commissioner Lawrence.
Mr. Whidbey, this is Diane. I've got a call from Commissioner Aiello and Commissioner Lawrence. They're both trying to log in, so hopefully they'll be joining us shortly.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Little.
Here.
Commissioner Lathers.
Here.
Commissioner Mason.
Here. Present.
Commissioner Morton.
Morton here.
Commissioner Nations.
Here.
Commissioner Rainey. I think your mic's muted, Commissioner Rainey.
Commissioner Rainey here, present.
Yes, sir. I got you. Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Story.
Here.
Commissioner Sturgeon.
Sturgeon, present.
Commissioner Tunnicliffe.
Present.
Commissioner Webb,
Present.
and Commissioner Williams.
Present.
So at this point, Commissioner Aiello, are you on? Okay, at this point, we have 20 present with 4 absent. 4 absent are Commissioner Aiello, Commissioner Allsbrooks, Commissioner Hudson, and Commissioner Lawrence.
Okay, next we have approval of the minutes. The minutes were emailed to us. At this time, are there any additions or corrections? If not, we will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second, Herbert, second.
All right, let me make an announcement now. Whoever that was that made the motion, whenever you speak, state your name first and then make the motion or to second so that we can, for the record, can know who it is. So let's start over again. Who was it that made the motion?
Commissioner Rainey makes the motion to approve.
Thank you. And the second?
Herbert, second.
Okay. If there's no additions or corrections at this time, Jeff will call the roll vote on the approval of the minutes.
Okay, Commissioner Bill,
Present.
This should be a
Commissioner,
vote either
that's
yes
a
or
yes.
no.
Yes or no, Bill? For the minutes?
To approve them, yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I thought that was by acclamation. Yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Yes.
Commissioner Chalfont,
Yes. Chalfont, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Herbert, yeah. Hester, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum, he's speaking. I think his mic's muted.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Yes. Morton, yes.
all right. Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
Okay, I see also that Commissioner Aiello is present now. Your vote on the minutes.
Aiello, yes.
All right. And I also see Commissioner Hudson. So Commissioner Hudson on the minutes. Thank you, muted. Commissioner. Commissioner Hudson.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir. And also see Commissioner Lawrence for the minutes. You're muted, Commissioner Lawrence.
Okay, I'm present.
Yes, sir, thank you. Your vote on the commission minutes.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So that is 23 yes and 0 no.
Thank you. Minutes are approved. Next on our agenda is citizens communications. This is mandated in our rules. So for us to suspend this tonight, since we have no way for citizens communication, I have to ask permission of the commission to suspend with this. If there are 2 objections, we have to have it. I don't know how we would have it, but are there any objections to suspending the citizens communications tonight? I am not seeing any. So from that, we will suspend with citizens communications. Next, we have communications and messages. I will report that there are 2 typos in the agenda on resolutions. One is the resolution 5-20-1. In the agenda, it states 55,000. The actual amount is 550,000. It is correct on the resolution, so there is nothing that needs to be done. I'm just calling it to your attention. The other one is the resolution 5-20-8. It says it's sponsored by Commissioner Webb. It is sponsored by Commissioners Lathers and Little. Again, it is correct on the resolution, so I'm just calling attention that when we hit those, if you're going by your agenda, that those are just typos. We do have one late filed resolution that is late filed 5-20-17. It was on your agenda and it was emailed out. Do we have any objections to hearing the late filed resolution? I am not seeing any, so that will be added to the agenda. Again, to remind you, keep your mics muted. Note, if you make it quicker, if you keep your mouse on the mute button so that you can just click it and unclick it to mute back. And that when you make a motion, please state your name, then the motion. And then on the second, state your name, and then the second. When we get to the resolutions, I am going to announce the committee results rather than have the chairman announce them, simply for time expediency, where everybody has to unmute their mics to talk. So I will go ahead and will announce the committee results. I will call on the commissioner who sponsored it to make the motion. We'll call for a second. We will then announce the committee report. Then we will get the explanation. And if there's any questions, again, you've been notified to notify Diane, and she will let me know so that we can get your questions heard. Are there any questions before we proceed with reports of county offices? I am not seeing anything. So I guess first up will be County Mayor Roger Sanderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to all the county commissioners tonight and those that are listening in. We say welcome. It's been a busy time since the last time we met in March. Many things have occurred. I'm going to break this down into 3 points, Mr. Chairman and commissioners. First, I'm going to call upon Nina to answer any questions that you may have in your packet about any of the reports that were sent out to you. Rather than her trying to go through them and answer your questions, if you have any questions, Nina's on this line, prepared to answer any of the questions that you may have. Then second, I'm going to ask Jeff Mosley to address this group with all of the executive orders and the conversations that we've had around here. And then third, after an item number D of your county office report, Kathy Montgomery will address the county public health department and what all's going in that world, and then follow that by Todd Horton, our emergency manager director that has worked many countless hours along with so many other people throughout our county. First of all, I will say that it has been an interesting time, to say the least. Every week we have had conversations, web meetings with all the city mayors, your city mayors, the city managers, and the legal of each of those 3 times a week. We've had 2 times a week we meet with the other elected officials, 3 times a week. And then we meet with our staff 2 and 3 times a week so that we're all on the same page on any executive order that is coming down or anything that we're changing around here. A little later in the resolutions, you will have some executive orders to ratify, some of the things that pertain to guidelines and policies and HR issues that we've had to do during this period of time. Currently, our office, the complex area, is open for appointment 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Wednesdays and Fridays are the days that people are working behind the scenes. We're still extremely busy in Mrs. Anderson's office. People getting car tags, renewals, boat certification, and above all, marriages. It's been so busy, we've had to dedicate just one day for marriages. That's Tuesday, because that requires such close contact. If you're here in the office area, you'll notice the employees have all been screened. They've been asked to verify they have no temperature over 100.4. They're required to wear gloves and masks if they're dealing with the public. When the backroom offices, they don't necessarily have to deal with the public, then they're allowed to take their masks and gloves off and do their work. Sherry Anderson's office, the Register of Deeds, continually is being flooded with people because of the low interest rates and refinancing that is occurring. That seems to be a very popular item right now, along with the sale of the real estate transactions that are occurring. Karen Paris's office, the trustee's office, fortunately, we'd gotten through the end of February where a little over 98% of the people had paid their property taxes, so we didn't have to deal with that after March 5th, which is the day that we kind of got started around here. So with that in mind, I'll answer any questions, but before I do, I'd like to shift it, Mr. Chairman, to Jeff Mosley, him and Lisa have done a Hercules lift of carrying a lot of the weight from the legal side, from the state, as well as Washington, trying to interpret some of these guidelines. Jeff?
Thanks, Mayor. As the mayor said, we've been addressing a number of executive orders over the last 2 months. Approximately 3 days after our last county commission meeting, the first of the executive orders came down, Executive Order 14. I'm not going to try to go through all of the 20 executive orders that have come out since then, but just to hit the high points. On March 12th, the governor declared the state of emergency for the state and implemented the emergency management plan with the idea that it would be in place for 1 week. Little did he know he was going to have to extend that out over at least 2 months. In short order, within a week, he had to extend that order to the end of April. And then with the urging of some of the mayors of Williamson County, including the county mayor and the city mayors who went together, Executive Order 16 was issued on March 20th, and that's the executive order that we're meeting pursuant to tonight, which allows for electronic meetings of local governmental bodies, as long as everyone can hear each other, as long as it's accessible to the public or is recorded for the public. We're broadcasting this, so we'll be in compliance. But it requires roll call votes for all of the votes that occurred during the meeting, which is why we will do a roll call vote on every matter, including the minutes, which you've already seen. So you'll see that. And in fact, recently the governor has extended the electronic meeting executive order till the end of June. We hope not to have to use it, but if we do, we will have that authority going into the June meeting. And then on the 22nd of March, the executive order started flowing that limited in-restaurant dining and limiting restaurants to carry out limiting group gatherings to 10 or less, followed shortly thereby prohibiting elective surgeries and non-emergent procedures, suspending emissions testing, the suspension of dental procedures that were non-emergent. Close contact and recreational facilities were closed and deemed non-essential March 30th and remained closed up until the executive orders of the last few days. The Safer at Home, which was to keep everybody at home except for essential travel, was issued first on March 30th, extended on April 2nd, and then extended again a week later for the duration of the month going into the end of April. We've extended some of those executive orders as we've gone forward. Price gouging has been prohibited, and we've had the extension of licenses that would have expired during this time or emissions testing that went with it. Towards the end of April, April 24th to be exact, the executive order started flowing that would reopen restaurants and reopen businesses with a return to work on April 28th, and then followed by the May executive orders, which have reopened close contact businesses, business offices, and the like. Now, as part of the reopening process that y'all have heard so much about, the governor has issued the Tennessee Pledge guidelines that will have phases for the reopening and our suggested guidelines on a safe reopening for the public that include the things that the mayor talked about with complex, where you have temperature readings, and we'll be doing that eventually when we get the thermometers in at the county complex, and then that the people who enter public buildings can avow that they have not gone through a certain number of questions. There are 5 questions that they ask about being sick within a certain period of time. If they have to be able to answer no to those questions, as well as not having a fever of over 100.4 in order to come into the building. And of course, the idea is to keep the public safe and the workers safe. And we've instituted a lot of guidelines across the complexes, whether they be recreational or administrative complexes, for masks and gloves for the workers, and recommending it for the public as well. So we've seen that that this has been a bit of an evolving topic as we've gone through the last 2 months, but now we're in the reopening phase. And I will say that we've so far over the last 2 weeks managed to see some consistency in the number of new cases in Williamson County. So we'll be monitoring that, and I'm sure the governor will come out with additional guidance as it is necessary. So with that, Mayor, I'll turn it back to the chair unless there are any questions for me.
If you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, thanks, Jeff. If you don't mind, let me get some of the other things out to eliminate the going back and forth. Are there any questions that you would like to ask Nina? She's actually working on the consolidated budget. The budget committee under Paul Webb's direction has met 3 or 4 times during this period of time on this WebEx. But do you have any questions at all on the material that was mailed out to you tonight? Anything about the numbers? I mean, I got most of them over here, but I don't see anybody asking questions. So I will move on and say thank you to all the countless workers that we have had in this county. It has surprisingly gone very smooth as far as the operations of Williamson County government, particularly to the sheriff for blending his people. As you know, when schools were let out, Jason Golden will speak here in just a few seconds. After schools let out, we had about 49 schools worth of SROs we could relocate throughout our system to help out. You will find out from Kathy in just a few minutes how valuable they were out at the Ag Center. Kenny and his guys setting up. Certainly Todd and Bill down at the public safety office, and all the many people that have been involved in that. They're just I just cannot tell you how many people have stepped up to go into the handle all of the things that needed to be handled. And I couldn't be prouder of to be mayor of a group of folks, including our elected and our appointed officials. Everyone has joined hands to try to deal with this. Speaking of the budget, I still don't see anybody wishing to ask questions to you, Nina, so you can just keep working on that consolidated budget. We would appreciate that. So I will shift my emphasis, Mr. Chairman, to answering any questions that you may have from me or from Jeff. And if not, then Jason is waiting to go on next. Or I hope he is.
I don't see anything, so I guess we are ready for School Superintendent, Director of School, Jason Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to thank the mayor also. And the mayor thanked a lot of folks. I want to thank the mayor and his team as well. They've really made a big difference for the schools over the past couple of months. As the mayor told you at the very beginning, this is a very busy time. It's been a very busy time for us, the busiest in a lot of our careers. I do want to give you the traditional report for our student numbers. We're currently at 41,725 students. And we project for next year a growth of 1,013. But the reality is those numbers over the past few months really haven't been our priority. Jeff Mosley gave you some descriptions of the governor's decisions, and we went through similar decisions with similar dates throughout these last few months with the governor and the State Department of Education and the State Board of Education as well. We actually have a timeline on our website, on our COVID-19 web page. If you're interested in seeing some of that detail, I'll share a little bit of the high points. In April, the State Board of Education directed that no student shall have a grade lower than they had as of March 20th. And so as a result of that, grades across the state were frozen. Likewise, attendance was not a requirement. For all practical purposes, schools were closed, as the governor asked. So over the time that we've been closed, we have been ramping up distance learning, remote learning, various phases of that, and our timeline describes that as well. Our students have until this Friday, May 15th, to work on improving their grades. The state did not prohibit students from improving their grades, so we took that opportunity, give students a little motivation to do some work remotely with their teachers. And as we put together materials and processes and platforms for those materials, more and more students over the course of these last few weeks have taken advantage of it. Our next steps include, after May 15th, celebrations. The county has been good enough to open the door for us to plan graduation ceremonies. As you all know, we're still restricted from having large public gatherings, so the regular schedule is not possible. We polled our families, and 85% of the responding seniors and senior parents told us that they preferred to have an actual graduation ceremony if at all possible. So we've rescheduled those for July 16th through 19th, assuming the social distancing restrictions have been lifted sufficiently for us to have that. We also have a contingency plan in the event that's not possible. From a strategic standpoint, our staff has already been working on planning for this possibility occurring next year. That includes really the gamut, the possibility that schools can't be in at all the way to us being able to start school as normal and anything in between. We're going to talk to the board on Thursday night about the framework we've structured for that, and our staff will be working on that over the summer. We also have reopened a pilot of our school-age childcare program. It's at 2 of our elementary schools. We opened that last Wednesday, and we did that with the help of Kathy Montgomery and Todd Horton, who the mayor had mentioned just a few minutes ago. And that structure with the CDC guidelines has worked fairly well. It takes a lot more staffing than ordinary because we're reduced by the number of students we can serve per person with our staff. But our plan is to grow that so that we can provide some childcare for families over this summer, as many will be going through the process of returning to work. That's a very short description of our process and what we've been through. I will tell you that from a strategic standpoint, we have redirected many of our efforts to technology. If you go back and look at our strategic plan, many of the elements of it really demand a higher and quicker step with technology and the process we've been going through. Some small districts in Tennessee are what they call one-to-one with each child with a device. Larger districts, including us, are not there. But we are taking some significant steps over this summer so that we can provide students with devices in the event this happens again. Final thing I want to mention is we don't have one thing on your agenda tonight. So I certainly welcome any questions from you regarding my report.
Are there any questions of Director Golden?
Yes. Commissioner Sturgeon, I'd like to ask one question. Hi, Jason. Hey, I'd just like to know what the construction schedule is looking like. I know you had mentioned the other week that you were finishing up some projects. Are you starting any new school construction on any schools?
We are in the process of starting the ones that you funded. The new school at Henpeck Lane, Legacy Middle School, is still on track for completion to open this fall. It is a very, very tight schedule. Of course, our construction crews, including the subcontractors, have been honoring social distancing restrictions. When you combine that with the weather, we're still cautiously optimistic about that one opening. The commission had also funded the Brentwood High School front, which is actually the final phase of that ongoing Brentwood project. That bid was let just this past week, and the first day of construction will start, if I'm not mistaken, I believe next week. Again, subject to social distancing restrictions. The work at Page Middle and Page High continues. Those are our larger projects. You all voted a couple of months ago to fund some of our other projects, largely because of the interest rates. None of those projects have gone out to bid yet, but we will work with Nina and her staff to work on a schedule for those.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Commissioner Lathers asking Director Golden, is it true there's also some projects that are being let for Sunset Elementary and Middle School? Is that correct?
Thank you for that. The final project, the final construction of a theater. You all may remember that for the last 10 years or so, we've been working on adding middle school theaters. Sunset is that last one, so that is in the works. You all have funded that. Also, we're working on a sidewalk project and working with Nolensville, the town of Nolensville, and Commissioner Lathers was instrumental in helping us with that to improve those walkways in that community. And you all know that we've been spending the last 2 months at home, but Kevin Fortney, our leader of construction, has continued to do a good job working remotely, and we're very excited about our future. One of the things that we've heard from everyone we've talked to at the municipalities, at the county, from business leaders, is that it looks like growth is still projected to continue. So the reality is we're spending the vast majority of our efforts on remote learning and making sure that we can provide the best instruction we can for our students. But others, because we do have that staffing for it, are still working on those construction.
Are there any other questions? All right, thank you, Director Golden. Next, we have a report from Williamson Medical Center.
Hey, good evening. This is Dr. Andy Russell. I'm the Chief Medical Officer at Williamson. The situation in the hospital has been really pretty calm over the last month or so. As of this weekend, we've had no COVID positive patients in-house. I believe we discharged our last one Saturday morning, have not picked up anybody since that time. Over the 2.5 months of this, we've tested 932 people. 82 tests have come back positive. We've admitted 36 of those patients, and the remaining, however many that is, 40 something, all went home from the emergency department, did not need hospitalization. We have had 6 deaths out of the 36 people that have been admitted to the hospital. 5 of those all were nursing home patients, but 6 out of 36 hospitalized patients with COVID have died at the hospital. Currently, our PPE supplies are still adequate. We resumed elective surgeries last Monday. We're ramping that up slowly. We're nowhere near our normal number of elective procedures a week that we were having before this started, but we're trying to slowly get back to that, increasing by 20 or 25% each week. But right now, again, luckily, the number of COVID positive patients is 0 in the hospital right now. I'm happy to take any specific questions from any of the commissioners.
Do we have any questions at this time? Seeing none, thank you for your report. Next, we have the health report from Kathy Montgomery.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much, Commissioner. I appreciate the opportunity. Local health departments began testing for COVID-19 in mid-March. And this was after, of course, the first case was identified in Williamson County. During that time, from about mid-March to about mid-April, we were testing approximately 15 to 20 individuals at our local health department for COVID. But then when the governor lifted the restrictions from symptomatic individuals to asymptomatic, he asked that every local health department in the state provide testing on Saturday, April the 18th. And we tested at our local health department on that day. We completed 668 tests on that day, and I can tell you we learned a lot of lessons. We immediately moved our operations to the Ag Center on Monday, April the 20th, and were able to begin testing by noon on that day. I can tell you that we have remained at the Ag Center based on the number of tests that we're completing every day. And since April the 20th through today, we have completed 4,762 tests, which includes testing that we did on another Saturday, which was April the 25th. I can tell you that testing is done in collaboration with our state and National Guard medics and administrative teams. So they have been truly essential in us being so successful. In addition to testing at the Ag Center, we've also been running a call center at the Emergency Operations Center. So we've had lots of volunteers and our health department team that have been out there calling all of the negative cases at the Emergency Operations Center. All the positive cases have been still completed at the local health department by our disease intervention specialists and by our providers, our doctors and other team members that have been calling those positives and doing those contact tracing. So the nursing homes, the long-term care and assisted living facilities have also been in the mix. And so any nursing home or long-term care facility that has 2 or more cases are being considered a cluster. And so they're being managed by our health department, mostly by our health department physicians. They're calling those facilities daily to determine if there have been additional cases, hospitalizations, or any deaths reported. And the state is actually facilitating any additional tests that need to be done at those facilities. For example, if they want to have all their employees, their patients tested at those facilities. So, but we're following up with those facilities once that testing has been completed. And then finally, I just want to say that we've been also, in addition to all that, we've still been operating our COOP plan at the health department. So we're still continuing our services on a daily basis. all of our WIC, our Women, Infant, and Children program, has been completed by phone. I can tell you that even those, we have exceeded numbers that we had even from previous years, just being able to provide those WIC services and food packages for women, and doing med refills, vital records, minimal primary care, but still always trying to provide those services for individuals. Mainly, we're really doing a lot out in our parking lot. If you've noticed, our parking lot has been a little bit busier, but really trying to provide that curbside type service instead of having individuals come into our facility. So that's been still operating, and we're still operating under that COOP plan. Finally, I just have to say that I just appreciate all the efforts of our local agencies, because we never, ever could do this without them. The mayor has been extremely supportive of our operations, helped us to get into that ag center really, really quickly. Appreciate him so much. The ag center with Kenny Wallace and his team, they have done just a phenomenal job to help us every day that we've been out there. Emergency management, Parks and Recreation, Franklin Special and Williamson County Schools, and Animal Control, providing those volunteers out there to help us during this time. We've had assistance from our Medical Reserve Corps. We've actually activated those volunteers to come out, and it's been a great exercise for us. The Sheriff's Department, like the mayor said earlier, they have been so critical to our operation. The Highway Department, Property Management, but I can't say thank you enough to all of those organizations, and finally to my health department team, because they've stepped out of roles that they're typically not comfortable with and gotten in there to do those contacts, to call those individuals, to help with testing, you name it, whatever we've asked them to do, they've been there, and they've been working weekends, and they've been working hard. So I appreciate all of them. I appreciate all of you. We've received calls and emails from several of the commissioners, and just really appreciate all the support that we've gotten. So that's my report tonight, unless anyone has any questions.
Seeing none. Next, we have Todd Horton. Is Todd on?
I don't see him, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so next, that will conclude our reports of county offices. We'll now head into our elections and appointments. Again, on these, we will have to take a roll call vote. We will take them by committee. We will not have to do each one individual. First up is the Agricultural Committee, term expiring 5/22. Term expiring Paul Webb, nominee Paul Webb. Entertain a motion.
Herbert, motion to approve.
Sturgeon, second.
Okay. At this time, are there any other nominations? I don't think we need to do that. I guess now we need to have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard,
Bethard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant,
Chalfant, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Commissioner Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence, I think you're muted, Commissioner Lawrence.
Lawrence, yes, sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Little,
Yes. Little yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
Commissioner Williams, you're muted.
Williams, yes.
Thanks, sir. 23 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. That passes. Next, we have the Disciplinary Review Board, 2-year term expiring in 5/22. Term expiring, Kimberly Casales, nominee Cheryl Gillum. Term expiring Ron Hines, nominee Ron Hines. Term expiring Sean Luther, nominee Sean Luther. Term expiring Teresa Ann Pike, nomination Teresa Ann Pike. Term expiring Bob Serrano, nomination Bob Serrano. Term expiring James Templeton, nomination James Templeton. Will entertain a motion.
Commissioner Webb, motion to approve.
Sturgeon,
Any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll call, please.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont,
Chalfont, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Hudson,
Commissioner Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff.
Yes.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Webb,
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
All right, 23 yes, 0 no.
That passes. Equalization Board, 2-year term expiring 5/22. Term expiring David L. Coleman, nomination David L. Coleman. Term expiring Gary Darnell, nomination Gary Darnell. Term expiring Larry Ely, nomination Larry Ely. Term expiring John Magyar, nomination John Magyar. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, Rainey.
Sturgeon, second.
Maroney,
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont,
Chalfont, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Story, I think you're muted.
Story, yes.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
And that passes. Hospital Board of Trustee, 3-year term expiring in 5 of 23. Term expiring Russell Little, nomination Russell Little. Term expiring Dana Osbrook, nomination Dana Osbrooks. Term expiring Bert Chalfont, nomination Bert Chalfont. Entertain a motion.
Lathers, move for approval.
Second by Rainey.
Any discussion? Call the rows, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont,
Chalfont, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Commissioner Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
sir. Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
It's 23 yes, 0 no.
Do we lose chair?
Apparently you've lost the chair. Jeff Mosley,
Yes, sir.
until he signs on, can I go ahead and start with the consent agenda so we can keep it going until he gets back?
Technically, your vice chair should step in, or your chair pro tem, which I think is Commissioner Smith, is it not?
I think you're right. Steve, you want to step in?
All right. Next item.
You're on the consent agenda, Commissioner.
Yes, is the consent agenda. Anyone wishing to withdraw an item from the consent agenda? I'm just pulling it up here. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Commissioner Webb, motion to approve. Second, Herbert, second.
Have a proper motion and a second. Jeff, you want to call the roll?
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont,
Chalfont, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little.
Little, yes.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey, Commissioner Rainey, I think you're muted, sir.
Yes. Rainey, yes.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
All right, that's 23 yes, 0 no.
I am back online. Can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, that was the consent agenda. Did you announce the vote?
Yes, sir. It was 23 yes, 0 no.
All right, so I assume we are back online and we'll keep going. Resolution 5-20-1. Well, I guess I need to announce that the consent agenda passes. Resolution 5-20-1. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 solid waste and sanitation budget by $550,000, revenues to come from unappropriated solid waste sanitation fund balance and tipping fees. Commissioner Webb.
Commissioner Webb moves for approval.
Commissioner Jones, second.
Commissioner Ricky Jones, the second. Municipal Solid Waste Board was 4-4-0 against. The Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you can see from the resolution, they've had a above average rainfall this year, and so this has caused to move out the leachate. They have fund balance as well as tipping fees they'll use for this, a total of $550,000.
Are there any questions? I don't see any, so I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Commissioner Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont,
Commissioner Chalfont, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson, Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
thanks, sir. Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-20-2. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 Parks and Recreation budget by $62,284.88. Revenues to come from donations. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
Herbert, second.
Commissioner Herbert the second. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
As you can see, this is donations from various groups and the expenditures are listed on the resolution. I'm going to assume there's somebody from Parks and Rec online if anyone has any questions.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please. Jeff, are you there to call the roll?
Oh,
I see you now.
okay, I'm back. I was just texting to see if I could come down the hallway. Sorry about that. Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont,
Chalfont, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Hudson. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Ricky Jones, or I'm sorry, Commissioner Dwight Jones first.
Dwight Jones, yes.
Jeff, you might try turning your camera off and just going by microphone.
Commissioner Ricky Jones.
Ricky Jones, yes.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
Okay, 23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-20-3. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 Parks and Recreation Department budget by $46,000. Revenues to come from participant fees. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
Rainey, second.
Commissioner Rainey, the second. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
You'll see these are fees received at the Performing Arts Center, and they'll be used for contracts at the Performing Arts Center.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll. Jeff, please.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard,
Bethard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant,
Chalfant, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-20-4. Resolution to amend the 2019-2020 Highway Department budget and appropriate up to $147,646.80 from auctioned equipment revenues to come from sale. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
Herbert, second.
Commissioner Herbert, the second. Highway Commission was 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Commissioner Webb.
The Highway Department is going to buy new equipment with the proceeds from the sale of old equipment.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard,
Bethard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant,
Chalfant, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester, Commissioner Hester?
Hester, yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Hudson?
Commissioner Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones?
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones?
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum?
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence?
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little?
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers?
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason?
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton?
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations?
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey?
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story?
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon?
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff?
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb?
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams? Commissioner Williams? Commissioner Williams? Don't hear from Commissioner Williams.
We lost Commissioner Williams.
I have 22 yes, and I guess one out, 0 no, one out.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-20-5. Resolution amending the 2019-2020 Highway Department budget and appropriating up to $267,630.53 for paving expense. Revenues to come from state aid program. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Lathers, second.
Commissioner Lathers, the second. Highway Commission was 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
As you can see from the resolution, this is state street aid money to be used by the Highway Department for hot mix and engineering services.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, Jeff, please.
Commissioner Aiello?
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill?
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard?
Bethard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant?
Chalfant, yes.
Commissioner Herbert?
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester?
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson?
Commissioner Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones?
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones?
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum?
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence?
Yes.
Commissioner Little?
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers?
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason?
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton?
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations?
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey?
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story?
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon? Commissioner Sturgeon?
Sturgeon, yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Tunnicliff?
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb?
Webb, yes.
All right. Commissioner Williams? Commissioner Williams? I don't see him. I have 22 yes and 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 20-5-20-7. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-2020 Health Department budget by $1,516. Revenues to come from donations. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Herbert, second.
Commissioner Herbert the second. Public Health Committee was 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
This is an unexpected donation to the Health Department, which they will be using for disease prevention.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont,
Chalfont, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Others, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
all right, Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
He was there a second ago. I think he may have went out again.
yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. That's 23-0 no.
Resolution passes. Late filed resolution 5-20-17. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute a local agency project agreement with the State of Tennessee Department of Transportation for pedestrian underpass construction on State Highway Route 96 East, State Project Number 94011-3255-04, and appropriating and amending the 2019-20 Capital Projects Department budget by $531,948.77. Revenues to come from contributions. Commissioner Story?
Motion to approve.
Hester, second.
Commissioner Hester the second. Highway Commission is 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Commissioner Story.
This is for for an underpass being requested by a private entity. They're looking at the work during in correlation with the Highway 96 widening project. So in order to get that moved while they're doing the construction, they were asking to for coordination with the county in order to help pay for the construction of the tunnel during the before the Highway 96 widening.
Are there any questions?
Commissioner Sturgeon would like to ask a question. Can you
Go ahead.
Can you tell us who the private contractor is?
I believe it's the Smith company. It's the property that it's connected to.
Reed.
Go ahead.
The company is actually Hurry Smith. It's the Reese and Steve Smith Company.
Thank you.
And I do have one question, Chair.
Go ahead, please.
And maybe Jeff or the mayor can help answer that. Several months ago, when this first came through, and we voted on this, we had talked about the maintenance. Can we explain a little bit about the ongoing maintenance of the tunnel while it's in before, because this will be eventually a part of the larger plan, but whenever it comes forward, but the maintenance of the tunnel has been a question that I just needed to get some clarification on again, since it's been several months since we talked about this before.
Mr. Chairman, this is Rogers Anderson. Let Bobby answer that. He's working on the contract now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The county commission did pass a resolution several months ago, and basically the county has agreed to be responsible for the maintenance of the underpass. Once it's completed, we've looked at it and determined it's going to be low cost to the county, and we've also stipulated that if that area gets annexed, that the city of Franklin will then become responsible for the maintenance. But it was a different agreement you have already approved.
Are there any questions? Okay, call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant,
Chalfant, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Commissioner Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff.
Tunnicliff, yes.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-20-6. Resolution authorizing the county mayor to enter into a contractual agreement between the state of Tennessee and Williamson County for pass-through federal funding to subsidize emergency management. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
Herbert, second.
Commissioner Herbert the second. Law Enforcement and Public Safety Committee was 6-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, Commissioner Webb, please.
As you can see, this is a grant for emergency management funding. And the grant requires the county to provide matching funds, which were included in the 2019-20 operating budget.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant,
Chalfant, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-20-8. Resolution to acknowledge its support and request the town of Nolensville to name the bridge located on Nolensville Park Road the Lewis Green Jr. Memorial Bridge for his service to the citizens of the town of Nolensville and of Williamson County, Tennessee. Commissioner Lathers? You're muted, I think.
Move for approval.
Herbert, second.
Commissioner Herbert, the second. This did not go before any committees. Explanation, please, Beth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In appreciation to Mayor Rogers Anderson, the Nolensville Board of Mayor and Aldermen, this is a proposal before you. And in honor of the family, his widow Sandy Green, his adult children and grandchildren, I'll be reading the resolution for the record. Whereas Lewis Green Jr., a longtime resident and public servant to the citizens of Williamson County, peacefully passed away on October 3rd, 2017 at the age of 81. And whereas Lou was a veteran who served honorably in the United States Navy during the Korean War, and whereas Lou was a member of the First United Methodist Church, where he taught Sunday school and served as a scoutmaster for many years, and whereas Lou served his community as a longtime member of the Nolensville Lions Club, where he received its highest form of recognition, the Melvin Jones Fellow Award, for his exemplary service to his community. And whereas Lou served the citizens of the town of Nolensville and Williamson County as a Williamson County Commissioner for 21 years and was instrumental in expanding the local parks facilities in Nolensville and the preservation of historical buildings, most notably the historical school in Nolensville. And whereas in honor of County Commissioner Lewis Green Jr. for his service to citizens of Williamson County and the town of Nolensville, the Williamson County Board of Commissioners acknowledge its support of the town of Nolensville through the Board of Mayor and Aldermen by naming the bridge located on Nolensville Park Road, the Lewis Green Jr. Memorial Bridge.
Thank you. And I would just, as co-sponsor, like to just add a comment that it was an honor and a privilege to serve with Lou. He was a mentor to me when I was first elected, and he is still missed today. Are there any questions? Rogers Anderson, I think, has some remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commissioner Lathers, for bringing this forth, and to Sandy and the family members that are listening to this or watching this. We truly appreciate Lou's service for the many, many years that he served on the county commission representing Nolensville. He was one that you could always depend on. He was very, very well liked between all of the commissioners. He was a family man, a good Christian man, and he just left a legacy for many of us. I personally enjoyed working with him so many years and bouncing things off of him. As many of you know, he was a chairman of our budget committee on several occasions, and I think he served on every county commission committee that we've got. So this is appropriate. Once we do this action, it will go before the Nolensville board, and hopefully they'll see the wisdom in naming that bridge too. I know that Beth and Tommy will shepherd this right on up at the time we have the dedication, which at some point when we're all can all get back together and have that unveiling there at the bridge. Thank you, Tommy, for letting me say a few words.
Yes, sir. I did neglect the Highway Commission approved this 5-0. Are there any questions at this time? Seeing none, Jeff, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Yes. Commissioner Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant,
Chalfant, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes and 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution number 5-20-9. Resolution to authorize the county mayor to seek grant funds from the state of Tennessee Governor's Local Government Support Grants. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
Herbert, second.
Commissioner Herbert the second. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, Commissioner Webb, please.
This is a grant from the Tennessee Department of Revenue that we're applying for. In the packet, you'll see the attachments, $2,297,010. If you have any questions, the mayor may be able to answer. Anyone has any questions, Mr. Chair?
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant,
Chalfant, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-20-10. Resolution ratifying certain temporary personnel policies necessitated by the COVID-19 outbreak. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
Herbert, second.
Commissioner Herbert the second. Human Resources Committee was 5-4-0 against. Highway Commission was 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Commissioner Webb.
As you can see, the pandemic we're in has created some personnel issues that need to be addressed, and this is working on this part. I'm not sure if Mr. Weber is on board, but the mayor can answer any questions that someone might have.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, through Mr. Webb, ask him to let Jeff or Lisa speak to this. I think Lisa's on.
I see Lisa is on. If it's all right with you, Chairman Little, let's let one of the attorneys do that, please.
Yes, Lisa, go ahead, please. Lisa, are you online?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry, I thought I was unmuted, but apparently I was not. The resolution that you're looking at, 5/2010, has 4 temporary policies, one of which actually has already been supplanted since the time that it was initially put in place, but we're still asking the commission to ratify it for purposes of any comptroller's review of our policies at a later date. Essentially, I'll go just very briefly, and then I'll be happy to answer any specific questions. Exhibit A is an emergency resolution or an emergency policy that was put in place to provide some emergency leave for our employees who needed to be tested for COVID or might have been exposed to COVID during the period of time from March 13th until April 1st, when a federal law was passed that put some benefits into place. And so Exhibit A is our temporary policy, and then Exhibit B is the policy that we adopted to replace the interim policy and to put into effect the federal law, the Families First Coronavirus Emergency Leave Act. And so Exhibit B reflects the provisions of that federal law, and that's really not a discretionary thing. It's required by federal law, and it's required to remain in effect until December 31st of 2020. And so that we're asking for ratification of that policy through December 31st of 2020. The third is a special COVID-19 vacation leave policy. That's Exhibit C to this resolution. And that was put in place by the mayor from March 24th. And the resolution proposes that it remain in effect until such time as the county mayor determines it's no longer necessary. And it simply places limitations on vacation for county employees so that we can ensure during this time that if employees are out sick, we have sufficient employees to fill the gaps. And also to limit folks from going to locations where they might return and expose others in the workplace to COVID-19. And then the fourth policy was a work from home on call guideline that became effective on April 1st to implement the governor's safer at home orders. And at the present time, the county mayor has worked with the departments to begin kind of ramping back up. And so at this point, each of the county departments is starting to build back up and bring folks back into the workplace, and hoping that we can get all of that up and going by June 1st. But this policy simply reflects the permission of employees who can work from home to be able to do so, and just kind of lays out the parameters of what that will look like, because obviously in many of our departments, such as the Sheriff's Department, EMA, and others, there's just simply not an ability to do the job from home. And so that's addressed in that policy as well. All of these are intended to sunset at various times. As I mentioned, Exhibit A already has become obsolete because it was replaced by the federal law that's reflected in Exhibit B. And in order to meet the comptroller's requirements and the requirements of state law for the county commission to approve any personnel policies that relate to employee leave, that's the reason for this resolution.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Jeff, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant,
Commissioner Chalfant, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-20-11. Resolution to establish an occupational safety and health program, devise rules and regulations to provide for a director and the implementation of such program. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
Rainey seconds.
Commissioner Rainey the second. Human Resources Committee was 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
We'll refer this to Commissioner Rainey or Mayor Anderson. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Mr. Chairman, if I could, I think Wayne Franklin is on the line. He should be to explain this, but this isn't anything new. It's just a renewal of what we have to do. Wayne, is that not correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. So again, this is just a renewal of the existing policy. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Jeff, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Beal,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard,
Sit up straight, you don't look like you're moving.
Commissioner Bethard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant,
Commissioner Chalfant, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-20-12. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to grant 2 easements to Atmos Energy Corporation for the installation of a pipeline and related appurtenances. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
Herbert, second.
Commissioner Herbert the second. Property Committee was 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
This authorizes the mayor to grant an easement to Atmos Energy to provide service to the City of Franklin Fire Station on the Ag Center property there.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant,
Commissioner Chalfant, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-20-13. Resolution accepting the donation of a 2013 Chevrolet Silverado truck on behalf of Williamson County Animal Center. Commissioner Webb.
Move for approval.
Herbert, second.
Commissioner Herbert, the second. Property Committee was 5-4-0 against. Public Health Committee was 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Commissioner Webb.
This is for a generous donation from LKQ for a 2013 Silverado truck to the Animal Center.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant,
Commissioner Chalfant, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little, thank you, sir. Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
okay, I don't see Commissioner Tunnicliff. Commissioner Webb,
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Williams, yes.
and Commissioner Tunnicliff, I see you.
Did you not hear me before?
No, sir, I'm sorry, I didn't. Probably the lag on the computer. Thank you.
Tunnicliff, yes.
Thank you, sir. 23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-20-14. Resolution accepting donation of a vehicle to the sheriff's office and authorizing the execution of all documents to obtain ownership of the vehicle. Commissioner Webb.
Move for approval.
Story,
Hester, second.
Commissioner Hester, the second. Property Committee was 5-4-0 against. Law Enforcement Public Safety Committee was 6-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
This is a donation from an anonymous source to the Sheriff's Office of a 2004 F-250 four-door pickup truck.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont,
Commissioner Chalfont, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
The resolution passes. Resolution 5-20-15. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute a lease agreement for improved real property located at 118 Battle Avenue, Franklin, Tennessee. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
Herbert, second.
Commissioner Herbert, the second. Property Committee was 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Paul.
This is a continuation of a lease for Mr. and Mrs. Beard who've lived in the home since this part of the BGA campus, and this is for a term of less than 5 years.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont,
Commissioner Chalfont, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. And the one we're looking for, Resolution 5-20-16. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a lease agreement with Transportation Management Association Group for the old Highway Department building. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
Hester, second.
Commissioner Hester, the second. Property Committee was 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Paul.
This is the continuation that the TMA group is using the old Highway Department building on Columbia Avenue. They are paying rent for this.
And it is approximately 45,000 a year. Are
Yes.
there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont,
Commissioner Chalfont, yes.
Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
All right, 23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. That concludes our agenda for the evening. Does any other commissioner have any comments, questions, or anything to add?
Tommy, this is Rogers. Could Todd Horton, he couldn't get on earlier in this. Can he say a few words about what's going on at the EMA and the numbers, please?
If no objections, Todd, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay this time?
Yes, sir.
All right, I apologize earlier for my mic problems. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I know it's time for your meeting to end, so I'll be quick. As you are all aware, March 11th, Williamson County resident was the first confirmed case of COVID-19 in the state of Tennessee. And as of today, just 2 months later, 94 of the 95 counties now have at least one confirmed case. As you're also aware, the governor, as well as the city and town and county leaders, have sought diligently to put measures in place in an effort to safeguard Williamson Countyans in the effort to slow the spread of the virus. Across Tennessee, there have been 273,277 tests performed, with 15,544 confirmed cases, which equates to 5.7%. There's currently 7,255 active cases across Tennessee, representing 47.7%. There's been 251 related deaths, which equates to 1.6%, and 1,344 hospitalized, which equates to 8.6%. Here locally in Williamson County, we have administered 7,008 tests with 445 confirmed cases, which accounts for 6.3%. And we currently have 128 active cases, which equates to 28.8%. There have been 10 related deaths in Williamson County for 2.2%, and 1,344 hospitalizations, which equates to 8.6%. Currently, there are 9,167 individuals who are currently opted in to receive our COVID-19 related text messages. If anyone is interested in subscribing, they can text the keyword WC COVID to the number 888-777. To date, our agency has issued 56 messages through the text platform, and we've issued 20 press releases. Our website also remains active and is available at www.williamsonready.org/coronavirus. Also, on March 31st, we opened a call center at the Public Safety Center. The purpose of the call center has been to provide information to residents seeking information related to the event. And to date, we have responded to over 320 requests. Also, in cooperation with the Williamson County Health Department and with the support of the Tennessee State and National Guard personnel, we continue to provide free COVID-19 testing to anyone who desires it. This test is currently being provided at the Williamson County Ag Center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. each weekday. We are also distributing cloth masks at the Ag Center that were provided through the governor's office. we have received just under 12,000 masks and have distributed approximately 6,480 since this past Wednesday. Additional masks have also been distributed through other various initiatives. On April 21st, the call center was expanded in support of the health department to process outgoing calls to make notification of mass testing results that Kathy Montgomery spoke on earlier. The first day, they made 663 notifications and have continued to do so ever since testing has continued through the last few weeks. We've worked closely with Williamson County Homeless Alliance, who for 35 days straight supported our homeless population. They have served 44 people in 30 hotel rooms since March 27th until the expiration of the stay-at-home orders. In addition to the health department and emergency management personnel, we have had great support from a number of agencies that Kathy Montgomery mentioned earlier. I would just like to also reiterate our thanks to our legal staff, property management, and WCTV, as well as various departments of the city of Franklin who have also supported us in this initiative. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have for me, and thank you for the opportunity to address the commission.
Are there any questions of Todd at this time? I see none or hear none. Todd, again, thank you for coming on and giving us the report. And as chairman, I could not be prouder of the job your department and all the departments have done with this epidemic. I have been on several of the phone calls and heard your reports, and the job y'all are doing has just been outstanding. Are there any other questions at this time? I don't hear any or see any. I guess at this time we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Commissioner Webb, move to adjourn.
Landrum, second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Good job, Mr. Chair. Good job, everybody.
Thank y'all.